Good morning, Hickory Bend All-Stars. Here we are for music lesson number 5. Get your paper, get your pencil, let's get started. So to review, we know that the 5 lines and the 4 spaces in music is called the staff. The staff is what we put our notes on. And where the notes go on the staff is how we know what the name of the note is. Okay, coming back over here to the left, we read music just like you would read words from left to right. We're going to do our treble clef sign. So start at the top, straight line down, come back to the top, right, cross over left, up and around. And the treble clef sign tells us that the notes that come after it sound higher, for higher voices like all of ours, and for higher sounding instruments. Then we went on to learn the C major scale. C major scale. And since it is a C major scale, our first note was C. Now when some of you were answering the questions, there was some confusion here. C is not on the staff. So it is below the staff, under the staff. The staff starts with this first line right here. It does have a line called a ledger line, but that is not actually on the staff. So that is our C note. Next we have our D note. D is also not on the staff. So the first note that's actually on the staff would be right here, E. It is the first note on the staff. It is also the first line note on the staff. We had F, G, sorry, that was a little sideways. A, B, and C. The answer to yesterday's question was B. It is on the third line. 1, 2, 3. But it is not the third note on the staff. That would be G, right? 1, 2, 3. But it is the third line note. 1, 2, 3. Okay, then we talked about our solfeggio, our do, re, mi's, and we talked about our Kodály hand signs. So we said that C in this instance would be do, D is re, E is mi, F would be fa, G is sol, A is la, B is ti, and C would bring us back to do. If you've ever seen a musical called The Sound of Music, she sings a song, the main character, about the solfeggio, the do, re, mi's. Let's go ahead and sing that together. Put your hands in do. And here's our C note. Ready? Here we go. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Great job. Now last time I said that we were going to take the notes of the C major scale and we were going to mix them up into different patterns to create melodies, to create our own composition. So hopefully you have that written down. I'm going to erase this now so that we have a fresh staff to put our own notes. We are only going to use the notes from the C major scale to write our melody with. By doing that, by staying within the scale, we're going to be giving our melody, putting it into what we call a key. And doing that gives the song kind of what we would think of as a tonal center so that it sounds like it makes sense. Now, music doesn't necessarily have to be in a key, but most music, at least in this part of the world, usually has a key to it. Or we can think of, again, as a tonal center so that the song makes sense. It sounds like it's all supposed to go together. So we're going to go ahead and put our staff down. And put our treble clef sign so we know that this is for higher sounding notes. Now, if we were back at Hickory Bend and in class, I usually just ask my students to give me a note so that the song becomes yours. But unfortunately, we're not together. That makes me very sad. So what I did instead is I put the notes of the C major scale in this basket, and we'll just kind of randomly pick our notes and see how our melody turns out. So the first one I get is middle C. So we know that middle C is underneath the staff. So that's our first note in our song. All right, next note will be A, G. So we said, and let me label that C, C, D, E, F, G. G was on our second line. All right, let's do another one. We have A, and we know that the music alphabet ends with G, and after G we start over again with A. All right, we can probably fit one or two more notes in here. Probably should have moved the G a little bit closer. Next we have E, and we talked about that. That was one of the notes that I asked you about. E is on the first line of the staff. Let's try to squeeze one more in here. We have the higher C. So our song is going to start and end on C just randomly by chance. So there is C. Okay, so now if I go to play our song, it's going to sound like this. C, G, A, E, C. Let me do that again. C, G, A, E. I think the first time I played it wrong because I forgot the order of the notes, but that second time was correct. C, then we had G, then we had A, then we had E, then we had C. We just made a melody. In a few more lessons, we're going to start talking about rhythm. And when you start talking about rhythm, you can take those notes and kind of jazz them up a little bit to make the notes longer sounding or shorter sounding to get things to be a little more interesting. Except I think I played our melody wrong again. There we go. I keep wanting to mix up the E and the A. You can change it around to other types of rhythms also. And then eventually you can add some harmony to it. And look at that, all from just the simple basic melody. Great job, composers. So go ahead, look at your C major scale, draw another staff, another treble clef sign, and then take those notes, mix them up, and see what you can figure out. You can also go ahead and do your solfeggio with it. So if we start down low, we can have do, sol, la, mi, do. Just like what we did it in the scale, but we just kind of mix it up then. We use our hand signs and our solfege to help our brain find those pitches. That's actually a little bit hard to do when you start to mix things up. It's something that you have to practice. If you have any questions about this, don't be afraid to send me a message and ask. I'm happy to answer any questions. As we keep going on, this gets a little bit more complicated every time. So if it starts to get a little too tough, send me some questions and I'll try to clear things up for you. Great job today, friends. Next time we come, we're going to review all these things, but then one of my fourth graders reminded me of something I taught them this year, which was called Every Good Boy Does Fine, and FACE, which helps us to remember in sort of a clever way the names of the notes in treble clef. And so we're going to talk about that next time. I think we'll go ahead and make another melody next time. And then after that, we'll start talking about rhythm, longs and short patterns, and putting those together. Have a wonderful day. You did great.